your home isn't selling and you're considering renting it out, or maybe you're an investor in the area and you want to know what your ROI could be. We're going to dive into what the average rental amounts are for long-term rentals in the area, and we're also going to talk a little bit about the variables that influence those rental amounts. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, I'm Declan McGonigal. I'm with Beach Rental Group. We manage about 240 long-term rentals in the area, a mix of homes, small multifamily, and a apartment complex. One of the big questions we're getting right now from a lot of the accidental landlords, as we call them, right? These are people that maybe have a home that they got at a super low interest rate. They're moving now a few years later and they can't sell it. The market's really stagnant right now on the sales side. There's a lot of listings out there. So they're kind of asking themselves, if I can't sell it, what can I do? Well, one of the things that comes to mind is renting. And the first question they have that they need to know, like you would expect, is what is the rental amount? What sort of rent can I get for my home? And this is a common question. We get this from investors. We get this from anybody interesting. They always want to know an estimate. And it's a great question. And I wanted to dive in today what those average rental amounts are. It's going to be really general. Again, if your home is really unique or it's older, there's a lot of different factors that can influence those. And we're going to dive into those factors. But I wanted to give some general amounts just to give a little bit of guidance. I would say a very typical home size for this area is between 3 and 5 bedrooms. And typically what we see is in that bedroom size range, the rental amount goes from about $2,000 to $2,500. Now, big disclaimer, again, I'm going to mention this a few times, very general statement, right? We see homes out there that rent for $3,000 plus. We see 3-bedroom homes that rent for $1,700, $1,800, right? So very general statement. There's a lot of factors. We're going to dive into some of those, but keep that in mind. That's for homes. Now, condos, townhomes, they tend to be about a couple $100 cheaper. I would say condos are a little cheaper than townhomes. Townhomes make a little bit more or demand a little bit more in terms of rental amount, but that's kind of the average range we see for 3 to 5 bedroom properties. Now you're probably asking, there's a lot of variables out there that could influence that price. What are some of those variables? So most obvious one is location, right? Are you close to the beach? Are you really far west out into Conway and Loris? Are you in North Myrtle Beach? Are you in Surfside? We've got a lot of areas here in the county, right? So location is a very important one. The next one would be, something like the square footage of the home, right? Bigger square footage means more money. Another factor is it brand new construction? Is it newer? Is it updated? Is it older? Does it have carpet? And does it have old brown cabinets? Has it been touched up or updated recently? A lot of those things are going to influence it. If it's older, going to demand less of a price. If it's brand new, it's going to get the top price possible if it is well made. Some other factors can be stuff like community amenities. And then there's some smaller variables like, does it have a garage? What are the bedroom sizes? What's the bedroom layout? Is there one on the first floor? Is it multiple levels? Are there stairs? Right. So there's a lot of different factors that go into influence it. But I'd say the top ones are location and how new is it. I've been shocked earlier, and I do get a lot of shock when some folks from outside of the area hear those rental amounts. They think it's low. And a lot of what influences those rental amounts, right, is the demand that we have in this area, right? And we do have a lot of people moving to the area, but really what I mean by demand is more so, what are the type of jobs we have around here, right? What's the type of industry? We're a very tourism heavy industry, so we have a lot of service jobs, blue collar jobs, and then obviously a lot of hotels, a lot of restaurants, smaller attractions like those. Now, you got to think about the salary range for those type of jobs. On the high end, it could be, $70,000 to $90,000 for some of these manager roles, right? Those salary levels can't afford typically can't afford a $3,000 to $4,000 a month rental bill, right? When we're looking at qualifying people, we want to see that the household income is about 3 times the rent. So those sort of jobs just don't justify really, really high rental amounts. We don't have the type of industry that cities like Charleston, Charlotte, Orlando, Atlanta have. So I would just keep in mind that, since our industry isn't super big yet, that may change. A lot of the folks that live around here don't make massive, massive salaries like you see in bigger cities, and that does influence the potential rental amount. Now, the typical renters we have renting out our homes tend to be families or young couples. We do get some older folks as well, particularly in areas like Little River or North Myrtle Beach. Condos, you can see more of single, younger folks or single middle-aged folks. Sometimes you'll get older folks in those, but really houses tend to be occupied mostly by families. One, they need the income to justify living there, and then 2, families like to have houses. Obviously, like to have maybe a yard, places where their kids can run around and whatnot. So that's typically what we see on the demographics of the rental side. The last point I wanted to touch on that could be helpful if you're new to renting as well is the seasonality. So in the summer, and I tell a lot of the clients we work with, I try to give them this time frame. In the summer, we do see folks are more apt or more willing to move, right? And this is mostly because, again, going back to families, their kids are out of school, right? So it's a lot easier to do this when kids are out of school instead of doing it in the middle of the school year. It can be pretty disruptive. So we do see a lot more movement in the summer, which means there's more demand, which means you can also have a slightly higher price And then obviously the other benefit is that your home will rent quicker, right? Versus in the off season, it does slow down. Between October and March, we do see a slowdown in terms of the number of people looking to rent. Now, it's not extremely slow. The difference that we see is maybe in the summer, about 30 days tends to be the listing time from the time you take the rental live to the time someone moves in, about 30 days. In the off season, that's closer to about 45 days. So it's not the end of the world. We still see people renting at that time, but it does slow down a little bit. I hope this video was helpful if you're looking to maybe rent your home, or if you're just an investor in the area and you want some very general info. I think this could have been helpful as well. So I hope you enjoyed. Please like the video, comment below if there's any other videos or any other topics around long-term rentals that you want me to make in the future. I'd be happy to put those together. I really want to provide value and give any insights I can bring to you. So please like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.